Welcome back to Recine Time. My guest today is a journalist whose work you can find on jeremyloffredo.substack.com. Please welcome to Recine Time, Mr. Jeremy Loffredo.
Thank
everybody.
you very much. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Yeah, you're a journalist. What would you say? What motivates you?
What motivates me? I like to do things that other journalists aren't doing.
Mm-hmm.
It motivates me to just, like, there's, 600 journalists that are, like, on the side of, the government or on the side of power, and to be one of the few that aren't and are still able to do good work that people see is, like, I feel like that's admirable, and that's what drives me to get that done.
Nice. What is that like? What does that mean for you, though? Like, I guess I'm just wondering, do you ever worry about, like, your income or paying the bills or stuff like that?
I feel like there's so few, like, I just got back from Lebanon. I was there for a month, and there's so few American journalists in Lebanon or in Palestine that if you're willing to go to those places, people are willing to pay you to go there. So, it's not like I'm writing think pieces about Trump where it's like there's millions of them.
Okay.
But if you're willing to go to those places, there's few and far in between.
Okay. And then who's paying you most of the time?
Most recently it was Drop Site News.
Okay.
Which is like, it was Jeremy Scahill and Ryan Grimm. They had The Intercept and they left, and now they have this thing called Drop Site.
Okay.
They have journalists already, like, in Lebanon and in Palestine, like Palestinians, but they're not. There's not many journalists that they have here in America that are going out there, so I'm doing that, and they're willing to pay that for that.
Okay. Do you have, like, an origin story? Like, was there anything that made you go, like, this is the work I'm supposed to be doing, or, like, this is what I really want to be doing, or, like, I don't know, what are those?
Not really. No. Like,
No?
I don't have an origin story, but, like, I'll go somewhere and it will be productive and it'll be exciting, and so just every single trip I'll tell myself again, okay, that was good, I want to keep doing this. It's not like I think back to a certain time in my career that it just, like, really excited me, but it's just like one. I think of it every time I go.
Okay. I just think it's funny because I feel like a lot of us we definitely take good journalism for granted. We always kind of assume that, like, the information's always going to be there, or it's always accessible, or it's always available, but we don't always think about, like, who's going and who's getting the information, and somebody has to do that.
Yeah, I mean, even the word journalist, to say you're a journalist, it's in New York or in DC, when you hear that someone says they're a journalist, you think of some of the most evil people in the world.
For sure.
You think of people who are, morally on par with, the war planners, the pharmaceutical industry. Like, it's disgusting. They're selling wars most of the time. So to even say that, I'm a journalist, it feels, just that phrase is kind of disgusting.
Oh, yeah. Same thing with comedians.
Yeah, fair enough. That's funny. Like, I think there was someone, I forget who did it, but it was, they calculated all of the wars since, maybe 1990 that the U.S. was involved in, and then all of the American journalists or Western journalists that promoted those wars, and then how many people died in those wars after they were promoted. And there was something like 300 bodies on every single Western journalist.
Really?
Because of, they promoted these things where there's, mass death and destruction. So, like, to say proudly that you're a journalist when that's your profession,
right?
That's not a great thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like, and I guess, like, it's the same thing for comedians too. I mean, at least nowadays, people are like, oh, you're a comedian. Oh, do you, like, interview the vice president, and does he tell you that there's no pedophile ring? What do you think about that? That doesn't look good for them.
Yeah, it's just that, I mean, comedians, I feel like everyone gets used as an influencer, and influencers are used to influence the population. So you get like you know, you get Barack Obama on Colbert, you get, you know, these different people going on different comedians' podcasts where we're told it's an interview, but it's a conversation now.
Yeah.
Because the comedian is not normally prepared to really hold these politicians' feet to the fire.
I know.
So you just have a funny conversation,
Yeah.
and now you're being used to, you know, promote this politician.
So like, I know we all think of ourselves as like these, like, you know, yeah, we go up on stage and we go, hey, are you guys banging each other? And we're so brave. And then it's like, but it is weird. It is weird when you're in a room with somebody. I think it's weird when you're sitting down with somebody and you go and you really have to force yourself to, if you're going to hold someone's feet to the fire. I feel like that's a tough thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's like when we're told, like, I mean, Trump did this the entire election, where like he already said that, like, you know, the mainstream media is, you know, it's the fake news, they're corrupt. You know, who's not corrupt? All these, you know, podcasters, this quote unquote independent media, even though they're not very independent.
Right.
And he'll go have conversations instead of being interviewed. So it's like I did a 3-hour conversation with Rogan, but it's like, yeah, but you didn't. It was a conversation. It's not an interview. Like, you don't have to. He's, you know, he's kissing your ass the whole time. Like, it's not difficult for you to have a conversation. So it's almost like I feel like sometimes the mainstream media, as bad as it is, might actually ask a few hard questions to a politician because that is their job. While like a podcaster wants access, just like the old journalists do, and they might be afraid to say something to the politician.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm never gonna get the audio of BB talking about how he likes Burger King out of my head. Yeah. That's gonna like haunt me for the rest of my life. I'll tell you what's really good is Burger King.
He didn't even say he doesn't know Burger King. He doesn't know McDonald's. He doesn't eat that shit. No. That's for the plebs. But yeah, he eats. He said I got a double. That's, you're just naming a double what?
A double
That's
what?
Not the name of a burger.
Also, Burger King's disgusting.
Yeah, of course.
But it's interesting. I guess they. I'm fascinated by that. It seems like a lot of them like try to mimic like How to Be Human. They go, oh, people talk about fast food, so I'm gonna make a, you know, I'm gonna have a hot take. I'm gonna go Burger King. Right after October 7th, right after they started bombing Gaza, I felt like I needed to start taking screenshots and screen recording and stuff like that. And I had never done that before in my life. And I just, I still do it. I have one I have one album on my phone from 2023, one from 2024, and one from this year. And I guess I never like felt a need to do that. I don't know. During Iraq, I didn't really pay attention, but I just think it's interesting. Sometimes I go back into my phone, I look at those albums, and I'm just like, oh yeah, that picture that was circulating of the nursery, like that got community noted, and they don't use that anymore. This the whole thing about like they went into a nursery and they cut everybody's head off, but we can't show you that because that would be too gross. They don't do that anymore. And every once in a while, I'll see somebody say something. I'll see somebody tweet something, and I just screenshot it and I put it in this little album, and hopefully, I don't know, someday
it's good. It's the most important thing to do. It's like there's no one creating, you know, kind of an encyclopedia of everything that has happened because things are getting memory hold so quick. So like we don't actually know. We don't have things saved. We don't have things. You know, to reference back to. So it's important to, I mean, as silly as a screenshot is, you know, we need the bigger idea, the bigger version of a screenshot, like an internet where nothing can ever get deleted or nothing can ever get censored.
Okay. You know? Like a big database. Yeah. Like maybe me and you should start like a database of tweets or something. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that I feel like, I don't know, this has to come back and haunt these people at some point. I don't know.
Haunt meaning?
There have to be some like repercussions, I guess. And I guess during the Iraq War there wasn't a lot of documentation. There's not a lot of evidence of people saying, "Oh, we should do this." But now there's a ton. So I just have to believe that in, you know, 5 or 10 years from now everything's going to look different, and I don't know, maybe these people will like feel some shame or something.
you'd hope they feel some shame, but at the same time, you see how they operate, and they're operating in a world where repercussions don't exist for these people. Sure, like certainly soldiers that are committing war crimes, for them, yeah, but like leaders, they're operating in a reality where repercussions don't exist. It seems, at least that's how they're acting.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't know. I'm curious to wonder if there will be. I mean, it's people, things change like so quickly. I think even the past couple months, there's been a lot more. People have sort of come around a lot. I'm seeing people speak out that that haven't before, and it just feels like it's going to get harder and harder. I just wonder how quickly, how quick it's going to change. And
it's possible that they do think repercussions are coming, and that's why they're speaking out now. Like, I think it was Senator, I forget what senator it was. They took a photo with Netanyahu just 2 weeks ago, and now they're calling him out for starving Gaza. And it's like, you were just standing with the guy.
Yeah. It was Cory Booker, I think, right?
It might have been Cory Booker. This was the one I'm thinking of was particularly a lady.
Oh, okay.
And so I feel like seeing that switch so quickly is like they must think that maybe there are repercussions coming for people who promoted it.
Or some kind of, but it's hard to imagine what those would even be, because it's just, yeah.
And if whoever promotes the idea of, repercussions or punishments now, immediately, anti-Semitic, you're, the only Jewish state, you want repercussion for the people in the only Jewish state. So it's, you got to get over that hurdle of the name calling.
But it feels like even that is kind of like on its way out.
Yeah, it feels like anti-Semitism has lost all of its power, and all that's left are the images of Gaza, and it's like there's really nothing left you can do with that.
And it feels like they don't really know what to do. It just feels like the thing that they used forever was kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, at this point, the main driver of the anti-Semitism is the actions of Israel. So it's like, and it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because the justification of Israel is that there's too much anti-Semitism, in Russia, in Europe, in America, that Jews need a place to go where they're safe.
Yeah.
So without any anti-Semitism in Europe or Russia or America, then there's no justification for the Jewish safe place in Israel.
Yeah. But you said you just spent a month in Lebanon.
Yeah.
I was listening to Chapo this week, and there was a guy that I think his name was Jasper Alexander, and he was talking about being in the West Bank, and it was really a great interview. We don't always pay attention to the West Bank, but I think there were all these great details about just things that he went through that sort of paint the picture of what it's like over there. So I guess what was that like for you? Any stories, anything kind of stand out? Or
yeah, I mean, it's I forget, it was the UN rapporteur on something. They said that there's more evidence of apartheid in the West Bank than there was in South Africa. Because the Israeli settlers who are living there, that's illegal by Israeli law, illegal by international law, yet they have the right to vote. They have the right to drive on certain streets. They aren't living under military law. They're living under civilian law, as if they are inside of Israel. And the Palestinians who are in Palestine, who are in the West Bank, are living under military law. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so it's like, what is that? Is that as bad as people think it is? Do these people just show up at your house and they tell you to leave, then you have to go? And also, I mean, that kind of means that a two-state solution is not really possible, right?
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's possible. I mean, being there and seeing how much. Well, first you have to deal with the human thing. There's 300,000 Israelis in this place in the West Bank, and then there's also
I thought it was more.
Maybe there's more.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's a good amount.
There's a good amount.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
And there's also, permanent military infrastructure, bases, airports. I mean, it's just like to say you want a two-state solution. There's too much military infrastructure already in this place where like it seems very, very permanent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then what do people think is gonna happen? Like, what do you, if there is some kind of, if this ends, like, what do you do with the settlers? And then how do you like litigate that stuff? Do you know?
I mean, the settlers were like, even if when the Israeli military goes to some of these villages in the West Bank to stop the settlers from maybe burning down a house or a car or killing someone, the Israeli settlers then fight the army, the military.
Yeah.
And the military knows that these settlers are the most powerful voting bloc for Netanyahu.
Interesting.
So in the West Bank, the settlers have more power than the army, than the military. They don't answer to anyone because the army knows that, their entire political apparatus and their boss and their boss's boss, they all have their jobs because of the way the settlers vote in the West Bank. So you see that they're not even under civilian law. There's no law. It's a lawless place for them.
And then how do they? I guess are they able to like recruit? They probably recruit from all around the world, and it's like, I don't know. It's just a weird thing to wrap your head around. Where you're like,
it's really strange.
Yeah. Where you're like, we're gonna take over this whole piece of land. We need like 1 million people to take over all this land. Yeah. I was thinking about, what did I see today? Oh, there was a shooting in Midtown a couple days ago, and I was watching friend of the show Sneeko, and he was in. Yeah, and he was in Midtown, and he was talking. Some guy was talking to the media. So some guy's talking to the media, and then he's like, oh yeah, there was a guy with a Free Palestine shirt who was shooting, and then Sneeko was like, but I thought they arrested this guy. He's like, oh yeah, there was 2 shooters. So now there's 2 shooters, and it reminded me so much of there's a great video, and I was lucky. I'm lucky that I found it. I just typed the words into Google, but it was on YouTube. They're interviewing this guy right after 9/11, and he goes, yeah, I was in Lower Manhattan, and then I watched the plane rip through the building, and then I witnessed the 2 towers collapse, mostly due to structural failure. And you can just tell, like the minute that happens, you could just tell. You could just tell that you're watching something that's like fake and scripted. And I also feel that way when I hear some of these words, like when I hear the name Netanyahu, something in you, right? Do you ever feel that something in your instincts just goes like, that's not right? Or when you hear, like, sometimes it's the word anti-Semitism, I go, I don't know. We got to look into that.
Yeah, no, I certainly, like, when I hear these words, I mean, Netanyahu is just a person's name, but when I hear anti-Semitism, I'm like, okay, this is some, it was either anti-Semitism to blame or it's on the rise. It's just like, it's kind of a word that I'm being so bombarded with now, and we all are in America, that, like, it's, these news headlines feel fake, and like when I hear structural damage,
it's mostly due to structural failure.
Yeah, it's structural failure. Like how structural, like 2 words. He could have picked any 2 words, and he picks verbatim the words that are in the 9/11 report.
Yeah.
Like that's come on.
Yeah. So how much of that is your job, where you have like an instinct or a feeling about something, and you.
I think that instinct comes from maybe like reading into things and reading about things, but like if my job was to hear someone on the news say structural failure and then like research it and report on it, I wouldn't have a job. No one wants to pay someone for that.
We have a mutual friend, and she was saying that everybody wants to be the Joe Rogan of the left, but she said you guys should be the Nelk boys of the left. Maybe we should try to be the Nelk boys of the left.
Nelk boys of the left.
Yeah, because everything we could just do like fun pranks. We could do a little bit of we could do a little transvestigating. We could look into the Michael Jackson stuff. I don't know if you know anything about that.
I don't know that much about Michael Jackson and his death, but like I know that when I hear that some doctor was to blame for some very successful or high-profile person's death, I can't help but think like, someone's behind it, or it's some type of conspiracy. So it's always the doctors.
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know. They can medicate people. So like, if you have a celebrity that's off the rails, you know, the managers of the corporations that this celebrity works for, you know, can tell the doctor something, and then I don't know. That's just like, that's my theory.
Wait, because that happened to Kanye's mother too, right?
Kanye's mother, yeah,
she got breast implants.
Yeah, she died during some type of like pretty normal surgery. She didn't even die during the surgery. They the thing happened during the surgery. They said she'll be fine, and then she ended up passing away.
Yeah.
And Kanye, since that happened, like blamed the doctor and said that doctor was like up to something.
Yeah.
I don't know anything more than that, but like that's just another example of the doctor being up to no good.
Yeah, they gave his beautiful mother poison breast implants.
Yeah, poison boobs. Horrible.
I think too, like Thomas Massey's wife passed away suddenly, right? I don't know. It's just interesting. Do you ever like worry about? I mean, I don't know if you have. I got a family, but do you ever like worry about your safety or the safety of your loved ones? Or I mean, do you think about that stuff? You seem like not. You seem like you're not really deterred by any of that, or afraid of anybody.
Not really. I feel like in 2025, it's sort of we're in like a world where it's mostly like character assassination, much less like actually like killing people, real assassinations. I don't think anyone's like coming after me, but like I always do like you know, something that end up on Twitter.
So they'll find like your old tweets or something.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. But they are killing a lot of journalists.
In Palestine.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have like a censorship regime enforced by missile strikes. Yeah,
right.
It's like not because you can. It's like because of I think it's like the language barrier. These are mostly like Palestinian journalists speaking Arabic, and like you're not gonna go to 200 different Palestinian Arabic journalists and like find old tweets of theirs when you already have missiles falling onto their neighborhoods. You know,
and I guess it's easier to spin that.
I think it's probably easier to just press the red button than to like to find old tweets.
It's too easy to press the red button.
Yeah, it's too easy.
But you were detained for a little bit, right?
I was, unfortunately. Can
you talk about that a little?
Yeah, so I went to the West Bank to report on violence in Jenin and Tulkarm. They were saying like, you know, a new front of the war is opening up. You know, they were carrying out missile strikes, the IDF, in certain parts of the Jenin refugee camp, and I was going there to cover that. But the day I got there was when Iran launched a ballistic missile attack on Israel, and I was already there.
Yeah.
And I thought, might as well cover this, like find where the missiles fell, you know, something. I'm lucky to be, you know, one of the only American journalists out here right now. And so I did that. I found a few places where the missiles fell. I took videos. I interviewed some Palestinian Bedouin communities that were around where the missiles had fallen. But a few days later, I was at a West Bank checkpoint, and they took my passport. They looked me up, and they shackled me, they handcuffed me, they blindfolded me.
Blindfolded you?
Yeah, and they put me in solitary confinement for almost 4 days, and they were trying to charge me with giving information to the enemy during wartime, because in my report about the missile strikes, apparently I was too close to some sensitive military installations, even though I wasn't, and just showing where the missiles had fallen and publicizing that, they said that the enemy, Iran, could use those coordinates to make their next missile attacks more accurate. So you're giving information to the enemy. So if you're just publishing news, like it's a really weird way to define you know terrorism or treason. Thankfully, I had I had one Israeli journalist come to my hearing, and he testified on my behalf, saying, I actually published almost exactly what Mr. Loffredo published. Why am I not in prison? Everything that I published was cleared by the military censor here in Israel, and the judge was like, he essentially let me go after that. They made me stay in Israel for 2 weeks and get interrogated. They went through my phone, my laptop, my camera, and everything like that. Okay. But eventually they ended up, they called an informal deportation. So they don't want the political backlash of deporting a journalist.
Okay.
So they just like kind of tell you and your lawyer like get a ticket and get out of here.
Okay.
And so I did that.
Okay.
And I think the case is still actually open and ongoing.
It doesn't seem like you're like deterred by that at all, or you're like rattled by it, because you ended up going back.
I went to Lebanon. I would not go to Israel.
You wouldn't go back to Israel. Okay.
I won't go to Israel.
But they're trying to settle Lebanon too, right?
Yeah, they say Lebanon's just, they say it's Israel.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just say it's Israel. I mean, where I went in southern Lebanon, 60,000 homes have been like systematically demolished.
Mm-hmm.
They created like a buffer zone in the south of Lebanon, so the settlers in the north of Israel feel comfortable living at home.
Okay.
And according to everyone who lives there in the south of Lebanon, they all think that like the border's going to start moving, and they're going to just southern Lebanon is just going to become northern Israel.
I can't even wrap my head around that 60,000 homes.
Yeah, it's wild.
Were the people evacuated, or did they just start like raining bombs down?
There's a no rebuilding policy that Israel enforces by drone and by sniper fire. They still occupy 5 different hilltops in southern Lebanon. And so like if they bring an excavator or even so much as a wheelbarrow to rebuild or to clear some rubble, they either get some warning shots or they get killed. And that's been happening. I think Israel has broken the ceasefire agreement, which it was supposed to be enforced by the U.S. and it started in last November, and Israel has broken it 3,500 times.
Did they start demolishing homes after the ceasefire?
Yes, after the ceasefire.
Yeah.
So this is the 3,500.
So after the ceasefire, they demolished 60,000 homes.
Yeah, as they when they were told they need to get out of Lebanon, before they left, there was a couple weeks of just constant demolitions, entire neighborhoods, entire towns. And now the people are living in either further north in Beirut, or they're living on the outskirts of the towns.
Mm-hmm. It's just it's an arrogance that's hard to fathom.
Yeah, I mean they have so much diplomatic cover from the world's biggest superpower that they don't see there ever being any repercussions for blatant war crimes. No one's even talking about Lebanon. This is 65,000 homes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even in the news at all.
Yeah, that's nuts. So what's it like if you live in Jenin, or if you live in East Jerusalem? Is there any sense of normalcy in your everyday life? I mean, I saw you did an interview with a guy that owned a bookshop. So there's got to be some I don't know, are some days better than others, or is there what's it like to just live there, and what do they have to deal with?
I mean, even in East Jerusalem, it's the Palestinians there are living under military law, and you'll have your business. You'll just have a group of teenagers walking down the street, and out of nowhere they get thrown against the wall, strip search, kicked, beat the shit out of, and then not even arrested, just told to keep going because they're Palestinian. The bookstore that's called Educational Bookshop. It's a fully English language bookstore about the political history of Palestine and Israel. I mean, not even just political history. They also have cookbooks about Palestine cuisine, music, and as he was telling me, the owner of the store was ever since October 7th, we've just been living under sort of this emergency in East Jerusalem, where they can come in, they can rummage through our books, take some books, put us in jail for a couple days, then send us back to the store. There is no normalcy. Is the occupation for East Jerusalem, at least.
Right. Yeah. It just seems like, and then Jenin is a refugee camp. Mm-hmm. So are there houses and stuff there, or?
Yeah. There's houses. There's Jenin was set up. It's made up of mostly of Palestinians who were living in Haifa when Israel was established. And so at first it was just, for maybe a few hundred people or a couple thousand people. So it was tents and whatnot. And now, they've just built, concrete homes on top of concrete homes. And none of them. There's no permits for anything. It's just the families are growing, and you started with tents.
Okay.
So it's
so it started with tents, but gradually they've made bigger over time. Interesting. There's a great documentary about Janine that came out in I think 2002 maybe.
Janine.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful film.
Yeah, I like it a lot. But it's a really important piece of the puzzle, I think, because everybody kind of talks about Gaza and everybody's paying attention to Gaza, and then I guess you'd like to think that life in the West Bank is a little easier or a little less dire or less drastic, but it really paints the picture of it sort of helps to answer the question what these people are supposed to do, and I think, isn't there some statistic where it's most of Palestinian resistance has been nonviolent? I think I heard that somewhere.
I don't know it, but I believe that.
Yeah, but there's something about when you engage in armed resistance, they can point to you and they can say look how violent they are. But then when you do nonviolent resistance, you get slaughtered, you get your house taken away. So it's just a interesting position.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many in the South Hebron Hills, Masafriyat, and all these little villages. I mean, these are villages with 20 to 50 people. Sometimes there's only 2 people left in the village because everybody else left for Ramallah or something where there's actual economic opportunity. But it's maybe 4 grandparents and 2 younger people. They're not engaged in armed resistance. They're not, but their houses still get firebombed, and their goats get stolen, and they're trying to get pushed off the land by the closest settlement. But certainly, no one in the rural villages in South Hebron are engaged in armed resistance, but they still face military and settler violence, on a daily basis.
Yeah. What are you optimistic about? Is there anything you're optimistic about?
I mean, I would call it a type of optimism when you see that, I think it's even Republicans in America. Republicans in America, their view on Israel in just a couple of years has dropped from 32% approved to 20% approved, and it's that's a drop that you've never seen before in the history of Israel, history of American politics. So the fact that so quickly people who are supposed to be so, the base of Israel supporters, the base of, Christian Zionists in America are turning their back on it and saying this is not my thing. This is not me. And I think that's, I can be optimistic about the fact that most Americans aren't happy with, don't want to support what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's called being America first, everybody. But yeah, I guess that is something I'm also optimistic about, is that there seems to be a coalition of, and there's not a ton of people that are really gung-ho. It's just the misfit patriot. And that's I don't know if you follow him.
No, I know who he is.
Twitter, yeah. How do you feel about the Trump and the Epstein stuff?
It's so, I know that Trump kind of dug his own hole with this. It's he would have won. I think he would have won even if he didn't go around saying, I'm going to release the Epstein files. But he said it.
Yeah.
So now people are, asking for it.
Right. That was his whole thing. We're going to stop the sex traffickers.
Yeah, protect the children. There's so many, but I do think all these people who say these things about protect the children, there's, a global sex trafficking ring, they would have voted for Trump even if Trump didn't engage with that part of the story, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But he did, and now these people are angry at him.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're ever going to get too much information about Epstein. I think someone said if everything was to come out, the entire American political apparatus and financial network would just collapse because everyone would be guilty of some type of crime.
Guilty.
So I don't think anything's ever going to come out ever.
I guess I don't either. Yeah, I guess I don't know what people are expecting. They're just gonna broadcast it in Times Square.
They were expecting Donald Trump to
execute,
get into office and actually round up these
Bill
like
Clinton.
powerful pedophiles and put them in jail and like have them do perp walks. Like they really were living in a different reality.
Yeah. And they were all Democrats.
Yeah, and they were all Democrats, exactly.
Yeah. It's just really interesting because I feel like he's been pretty bulletproof for the past like 8 years or so, but this is like there's something different about his energy. There's something where I guess I used to kind of root for him a little bit because it was funny and he could kind of like, you know, he was a good oppositional voice to whatever the Democrats were doing. But now I look at him and I go, you're a child rapist. You're disgusting.
Yeah, he's not the same person.
I've never really, right. And I guess I feel like I've never really thought he was disgusting until now. But now I think he's disgusting.
Because of the Epstein stuff.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I would only defend Trump because Democrats would say he's, you know, too pro-Russia. You know, he's not soft on this or that. And like they would attack him from the right. And so then I'd have no choice but kind of defend Trump.
Sure.
But right now, there's really nothing. I mean, he said day one, I'm going to end the war in Ukraine. Yeah. It's like, you know, day whatever. It's, you know, lots of time has passed and he's still giving Zelensky the same amount of money Biden was. Okay. That's not happening. I'm going to end the war in Gaza. He said that. And he started it with like
he did say he was going to do that.
A little, he got the ceasefire done in the beginning. And then let it resume. And now it's, you know, worse than it's ever been. The Epstein stuff, didn't do that. So it's just like, it's so, the three main things that he said he was going to run on, he's kind of pulled the entire 180. So I was like, how can you respect someone who does that? How can you respect anyone who does that?
Right. Like what's left? Yeah. I know. I guess I did think I would see like one perp walk.
I mean, it would have been funny. I mean, even when they were holding up the binders in the Rose Garden, you know, the Epstein, binder, volume 1. Yeah. All of the conservative influencers. And then they opened it. And after all the information was shared with everyone saw that nothing in the binder was new. Everything had already been on the internet. It's just like, it's all such a spectacle, you know?
I know. I want to know what was in those binders. There were so many papers in the binders.
You can see it on the internet. It's nothing in the binder was new. It was all out already. It was all Epstein stuff that had been out already.
Really?
So yeah, it's just embarrassing for the people who are holding them.
It's very embarrassing for those people. Yeah. There was a video of you where so there was a memorial for Hin Rajab, and you went and you interviewed a couple people, and you got a guy to come out and say Jews deserve rights and Palestinians don't. And I've been watching some Louis Theroux documentary like clips, and you know, you look at the comments and people go, "Oh, Louis like a very skilled interviewer. He gets people to." So, can you talk about any of those tactics that you might employ when you're interviewing somebody?
I spent some time with. It was actually I did very much what Theroux did with his Settlers film, but like kind of the year before, and I was with the Israeli settlers who were blocking humanitarian aid at the Karim Shalom and Etzana border crossings right in between Gaza and Israel. And this is before it was like right now it's policy for Israel not to allow aid in. That's the policy. But this is before then, where they needed these proxies, Israeli citizens, to stand at the border and block the aid. Yeah. And Israel would say, "Oh, we didn't want them to do that. That's so bad." And now it's just that's the exact policy that they're carrying out.
Now, are those same people still blocking the aid?
Yeah, when there's aid to block. Right. I mean, there's like it's policy now, so you can just have soldiers do it. But before, the soldiers had to say like, "No, guys, get out of the way, let the truck through." But they were using the presence of these civilians as justification to shut down the border crossing. So all the civilians had to do, the Israeli civilians just had to drive to the border crossing, and then once their presence was there, once they were there, then they would just shut it down. So that would be blocking aid, just shutting down the border crossing. Right. But I would talk to them about, you know, what are you doing? Do you think these people should eat? This is just rice flour. It should go into Gaza, don't you think? Yeah. And I've noticed this is like the interviewing question you're asking. It's very like, you just allow them to be as honest and blunt as possible. Don't act like you're there to. I was actually there with some like left-wing journalists in the beginning, and she was trying to like argue with people. You know how many women there are in Gaza. You know how many children there are in Gaza, and now you're just getting into arguments. You're not going to change the minds of these fanatic settlers. You're just there to document what they think and what they believe. Yeah. So like if you go there, you don't act like you're on their team, but you just say like, so what do you think about these Palestinians? That's all you need to say to these people, and they just go off. Yeah. So it's not that hard to get them to admit to. I was talking to an IDF reservist who was in Gaza. He just got back, and he told me I was a part of the explosions unit. I blew up a few UN offices that were helping Palestinian families that didn't have homes, and they're so certain that they have the moral high ground. So they don't think that they're admitting to something wrong. Yeah. So you just let them keep talking. That's really, it's not a skill. You just like keep your mouth shut. Okay. Yeah, it's just crazy the stuff that they admit to. You know what I would say if I were in your position? I would go, hey, don't you guys have jobs? What's your job? Well, they don't have jobs. I have heard that. They don't have jobs. They are, which is funny that they'll get the support from like these people, pull yourself by your bootstraps type people in America, when the settlers in the West Bank are, their entire lives are subsidized. Their only job is to have babies and read the Torah, and just keep expanding and take over land. After October 7th, they gave a lot of the settlers in the West Bank guns and Humvees and bulletproof vests, and effectively their job was to, capitalize on the fact that no one wants to protect Palestinians right now because October 7th just happened, and to keep taking Palestinian land in the West Bank. And so their job is just to act as a proxy for the government, and they don't work normal jobs. And that's such an odd existence too. Like, I'm going to go to this foreign country, I'm going to kick this family out. And then, because I saw that video of the guy from Long Island who was like, if I don't steal it, someone else is going to steal it. But then they like caught up with him a few years later, and he was like, it's like, what is his existence? What is his life? He just sits in this house that he stole and everybody hates him. Does he have like, does he get to go to like Dave and Buster's or anything? Or like, like, what does he do for fun? No, they like, these are, as like crazy as it sounds, these are the happiest people in Israeli society. They are like, they have no qualms about any of the crimes they're committing. They don't feel guilty about it. It's not like a liberal Zionist where they're like, it's horrible what we're doing, but we kind of do have to do this. No, they are happy about everything that they're doing. They're playing. You see these soldiers playing dress up in the houses in Gaza. But are they super religious? Who? The settlers. The settlers are religious. Yeah. The settlers are religious, and yeah, they're having so much fun, and they don't feel guilty about anything. And the kids are playing games on they're on bikes that they took for Palestinians. They're hanging out in the backyards on the lounge chairs of the Palestinian house. It's just very. It's what they do for fun is just they just exist on money from the government. And then it's bizarre. Did they interact with any of the indigenous people? I guess not really. Not really. No, no. Yeah. It just feels like such a big undertaking to liberate that area. But who knows? We'll see, I guess. Liberate it meaning like to have like a fully liberated Palestine. Feels like it's going to be a long time. Feels like it's going to be a long time. Yeah. But I do think what helps that is like to that end is the fact that they're the people who are giving them all their money, their wallet, America, is slowly not so down with sending them so much money. So like if they have less, smaller army, less weapons now, like maybe if they're losing power, how quickly are they going to gain land? I don't know how it works. But I feel like that's a good thing. Right, and now that Epstein is gone, I wonder if they're still doing all that stuff. So maybe, I don't know, like what if we could, maybe there'll be like a non-pedophile Congress in like 10 or 12 years? Is that something to look forward to, be optimistic about? What else are you working on? Just the Lebanon stuff right now.
Okay.
I was there for a while. I put out one video. Now I was actually there. They bombed Dahe, Beirut. It's like the southern part of Beirut. It's like a Hezbollah stronghold on the eve of Eid. So like eve of the biggest holiday, they took out maybe like 4 residential blocks, and I just happened to be close by, so I went there the day after, and like so I'm working on a report right now of like the day after in Dahe.
Mm-hmm. And so the plan is to like rebuild all of that.
The plan is to rebuild it eventually.
With settlers, yeah.
It's just right now the Lebanese government is like very much like pro West, kind of in the pocket of America, and where Israel's bombing, those are all Hezbollah supporters. So like they no longer have the state to help them rebuild these things. They have to, they have to hope that Hezbollah will somehow, get enough money to rebuild all these blocks and all these buildings. But they used to, like, because now if you like listen to the language, you'll hear Israel's at war with Hezbollah. In 2006, during that war, you heard Israel is at war with Lebanon. So now you have like, you have less people sympathetic to Israel's opponent because now it's a prescribed terrorist organization instead of a government, Lebanon.
Yeah.
So all the times that Israel bombs Lebanon, it's kind of categorized as they're fighting Hezbollah, and no one in like the international community comes to the people who live there comes to their aid.
They did kind of like mess Hezbollah up, though, right?
Yeah,
they did kind
of. Yeah, I mean after the killing of Nasrallah, like it does, like they were. I mean, I was there. They're very disorganized. I was talking to some journalists that are cover the south of Lebanon, and there's still like rocket launchers from when the war was happening out still, and they're saying like, look how obvious they were. Like they used to like hide their things places. They used to go underground and things, and now they're just kind of like putting it in like someone's driveway, and like it's just not. They're not as impressive as a paramilitary as they were a few years ago. Is what I heard.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, any final thoughts? Anything else we forgot to cover?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think what happened. And I need to look into this, but Michael Jackson like made a song called like "Tears for Palestine" or something.
Really?
Yeah, and then like soon after that, the allegations started.
Wait, is that actually the timeline?
That's what that's what I heard on like
it's really funny.
An Instagram post. It is funny, yeah. And then right after that is when Rabbi Shmuley kind of like got
Shmuley's a character.
He's a character. Yeah.
I met Shmuley's daughter that has the dildo store.
Oh, okay.
In Jerusalem.
Okay.
I went.
Did you
there.
go to?
I went
to the dildo store.
And it's not as impressive. Like it's not a storefront. It's like a store in a mall.
Okay.
So like it's not like you can't see it from the street. You have to like go find it in the mall.
Yeah.
And I walked in. I said, I know your father. How's it going? And she said, you need to come. You need to come to like Shabbat dinner. She invited me. But like I know that once the father got wind that she invited me, it would not go well. But like I was just acting when I walked in her store.
Okay. And she was nice.
She was nice.
Yeah. Interesting.
She was nice.
I did not know her dildo store was in a mall.
Dildo stores in a mall.
Were there any like weird anything out of the ordinary or?
No, it's all kosher.
It's kosher. Okay.
No, yeah, it's really. I don't know what that means particularly, but it's.
Well,
kosher.
A lot of dildos are made with like ham.
They're
dipped in
That's
ham.
funny.
Yeah. It's a little known fact.
Shmuley's his argument for having his family sell sex toys is that it's you don't want divorces in very religious Jewish families and marriages. You don't want divorces,
right?
And that these sex toys,
they're for the guys.
Yeah. And these sex toys will stop divorces. Hopefully, that's what
okay. That's interesting. Yeah, it's weird that like Michael Jackson. How did he get access to Michael Jackson? I mean, you kind of have to be impressed by it.
I am impressed by the way Shmuley. I mean, from what I can from what I've heard and what I can tell, he acts as like when a politician gets accused of anti-Semitism, he appears as the token Jew, and he, promises the press and whoever that this person loves Jews actually, and then with the agreement that the person will be a strong Israel supporter and say these things. Because if you remember Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he didn't say anything about Israel. He was saying nothing about Israel during his presidential campaign, and then he was caught by a New York Post reporter at dinner saying that in PubMed there's a medical paper that says that Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese people have better COVID outcomes.
Okay.
And so he said that, and people are like, Jews have better COVID outcomes. That's anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
And then Shmuley appears.
Yeah.
And Shmuley appears as, guys, Kennedy loves Jews, blah, blah, blah. And right when Shmuley appeared and defended Kennedy against the anti-Semitism claims is when he started talking so much about Israel and being such a giant Israel supporter.
Interesting. But then so much of that is like, and by the way, you better stay away from this podcast, Shmuley, because I cannot be bought or influenced. But do you think a lot of this stuff does come down to like just people being a little bit cowardly, I guess? Like why is everybody so worried? Why is everybody so worried about how they're perceived, or like why is he able to do that?
I don't think it's everybody, but I think it's people who are maybe seeking a position of power in the United States government. They then now you have to be worried about being called an anti-Semite, or you don't like Israel enough. But like a normal guy, I don't think he cares as much as he doesn't have to care as much as someone who's seeking a position of power in America. For
sure, it's almost impressive though, like how evil it is. Like Michael Jackson just wants to write a song about Palestine, and then they accuse him of
is that real? I still.
It's just it's just one of those fun conspiracy theories that I think you should. But enough black people think that he's not a pedophile. So if that's the case, I think it is worth. You can't just dismiss. You have to listen to those voices.
I'm sympathetic to the idea that Michael Jackson. I know people say this about Bill Cosby as well. That they were black people who were in a world of white people and at the top echelon of like entertainment.
They're just getting too powerful.
They're getting too powerful, and something happens, like you get accused of it. Both times it's a sexual crime, and it's just interesting. And like I wouldn't doubt it if they're both guilty. I'm just like saying this is interesting.
And then but then I was looking at this, and apparently like Michael Jackson's sister was married to this like Zionist guy, and he like beat her and told her to say that her brother was a pedophile, and then she recanted it years later.
Well, there you go.
It's like impressive how evil people can be. I'm gonna beat my wife and tell her to say that her brother's a pedophile. It's the same thing with like the 9/11 stuff. You start looking into it, and you go like, people go like, that's crazy that you think. So you really think that they blew up the Twin Towers so they could go to war 2 times, and I mean, it just sounds so insane.
It sounds insane, but certainly people are they're figuring out how to get things done, and I think it was
they're getting things done.
Yeah, no, I mean like you got to figure out how to get things done. I think it was like. I think it was Michael Parenti. He has like a famous video that goes around all the time on Twitter, and he talks about like if teachers come together and they find a way to get higher wages, and like did they conspire? Did the teachers is that a conspiracy?
Sure.
It's like if the teachers are doing it, then sure the corporations and the different people in government are doing that. They're doing is working together to get more of what they want.
Yeah. Nobody gets power, and they're like, all right, that's enough.
Yeah, I'm good on that.
Yeah. We got to build some power, though. We got to figure out.
Yeah, I think if you did a Shmuley dildo ad read, not long, not 30 seconds, like 10 seconds, get them on the good side, I think that'd be really great.
Okay.
Smart.
You're saying I should be a pro-Palestine version of Shmuley.
No, I'm just saying you should work with Shmuley.
Yeah.
It seems like he knows the right people.
Yeah. All right, something to think about. Well, Shmuley, if you want to come on the show, you know what, Shmuley? Why don't you comb through the show, find the old episodes, put together a supercut of all the times that I've said something, and then you can come on and say, no, he's all right. He's with us, and then we'll see what happens. Thanks so much for being here.
Wonderful.
You want to plug anything besides your Substack?
Nope.
All right. That was Jeremy Loffredo, and that's the show, everybody. Support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Recine Time. And I got some road dates coming up. I will be in Pottstown, Pennsylvania on September 6th. I will be here in New York City doing a show in Astoria on August 15th. And I'll be in Avenel, New Jersey on the 23rd of August. And we got some other dates coming up. We got Denver coming. We got all kinds of stuff. Please go to MikeRacineComedy.com for tickets, and we will see you Monday night on Patreon or next week. Bye-bye.